Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Monday, y'all. I hope that you had a great weekend, safe weekend, a sound weekend, a peaceful weekend, productive weekend. All things good. I hope you had this weekend. Today is November 18th, 2024. Pluto is going into Aquarius tomorrow. And I think I had mentioned that aspect last Monday, I believe, in my message. But I think I referred to Saturn, which did go direct into Aquarius. But if I did, what I was actually thinking about was Pluto, even though they both, definitely have strong effects. But, Pluto, well, Saturn is definitely like a no-nonsense planet, but Pluto brings the house down, literally. So depending on how that aspect affects your chart, even if it is a challenging one, it should still be empowering in some way, shape, or form, especially if you are in the market for empowerment and enlightenment and new beginnings and things of that nature. Then you're in good hands. Some are not ready for how this aspect is about to hit the scene. But you are. Whomever I'm speaking to, I decree and declare that you are ready. You're prepared, and it's going to be quite pleasant. As a matter of fact, like this full moon has already kicked off as of Friday, which is funny because I didn't really I thought the full moon, I was thinking the full moon was on the 19th, but I was actually thinking of the Pluto transit. So I was all like mixed up, but it all worked in my favor because there was something about this full moon that I was supposed to just internalize. And I did, and I wasn't even trying to, which is the strange part, but not so strange, of course. And to just really incubate myself in that frequency and be one with it, So it was like I was really being called to be completely selfish with my energy. As I can see the moon, like, piercing through my blinds now, is still very, very bright. But I didn't do a full moon message, not because I actually didn't intend to. I did. I was just planning to do it actually today, thinking it was tomorrow. And then throughout the weekend, I realized, oh shoot, the full moon happened on Friday. And it's a very powerful one. So, the prayer that I posted, if you didn't check it out, I posted it spoken as a video with a purple thumbnail. And then I posted the words on the community tab. Is very much so supermoon certified, as I called it. So it definitely is something that you could use to enhance your projections, your affirmations, your rituals, your prayers, whatever it is that you may already have done or be in the practice of doing at this time. I hope that can add value to it, even if it's just an energetic transference from my channels to yours, of really just a sense of empowerment in this new season of prosperity that we have stepped into already, So anyway, with all that being said, let's see what the message is today. As if I haven't cut these cards enough. Well, let's see. Oh, not the Nine of Swords. Anxiety and eagerness. More so anxiety and maybe even some paranoia about what's to come, what the future holds. Maybe perhaps some things that can't be changed, or things that you wish you could change that you can't. Could even literally be like somebody having headaches on account of their anxiety, or having nightmares. Jeez. Let's see what else we got before I keep going, because I don't want to go yet. Like, I don't know why, because we do have the Ace of Pentacles here. It could be, as I said, some people are ready for this shift, some people are not. Some people it's quite celebratory, and sensational, I would say. Well, I guess it's sensational for all, but it just depends on, what frequency you're in about it. It could be an anxiety about impending changes. Now, in this case, with the Ace of Pentacles, is this about what? I was gonna say, like, I feel like this Nine of Swords is about what has been lost or missed. But let's keep going. Let's move it all the way backwards and see what happens. Yeah, but then here's the Sun card. So I don't understand what's happening here. Yeah, the new beginning. So it's like, and the World card, like, this is either well, it could be, because we do have energy coming. We got the Fool over here. We got the Nine of Swords over here. This literally could be two different sides of a coin. Actually, the Ace of Pentacles, where some people are feeling distressed about what they may have missed out on, or what they may miss out on, and some people are walking straight into glory, like without a care in the world, really, it seems, with this Fool card, or at least with a very hopeful outlook in there. Yeah, and here's the World card. Let's say, like, the centerpiece of it all, because as I said, like, Pluto brings the house down. So, and this is Saturn, by the way, but however the previous cycles have come to a closure is now quite definitive, in this present moment. Like, of course, there could be some future projection, but what you have to show for yourself now is absolute right now. Like, you're either seeing that you spent your time wisely and have yielded a great return in your efforts and your energy and your attention and your choices, or you are literally seeing the total opposite. Maybe some type of like, maybe a middle ground where it's like there's not really too much exciting to write home to mom about, but there isn't anything devastating either, which isn't bad either. But I think that even would inflect this Eight of Cups, where it's still a moment of opportunity to consider, like, if nothing especially profound or uplifting has occurred or is occurring in your life, then maybe there are some things that you still get to shift from, whether it be disconnect or walk away, change, reconsider, So I guess that would be the middle ground for the most part, but otherwise, the Fool card in this new beginning energy is walking right into happiness, prosperity, productivity, just a lot to look forward to. It's the happiest card in the deck. Let's just see what else is out here. Okay, so the Ace of Pentacles, this could be, since this is so connected here, it just really could be the disparity between those that were more three-dimensional or material focused and those that were more spirit driven. And that's the outcome that's being, that's the result that's being experienced now. And then this middle ground again, this is the point of decision, whether those that may even be experiencing something disappointing or unsatisfying now have the opportunity to go seek out what they feel they've been missing, or make different choices or whatever the case may be. And those that have kind of been on the spiritual path in some way, shape, or form, it doesn't have to be religious, it doesn't even have to be all that deep, but have just been intentional to, I guess, really just pursue passion in a pure way. And that didn't necessarily have to be attached to a material, that didn't necessarily have to have a material measurement or have a guarantee, even in this case, of a tangible reward, but it was really more faith driven here on this side. Now it's like you're coming into that season of realization of the things that more or less were hoped for, finally having the evidence of things not seen, as the scripture goes. All right, let's see here. Here's a wish fulfillment, and here's conflict. Yeah. So yeah, this is just, I would say it could be inner or internal or external conflict on this side, honestly, of what someone ultimately put the most stock in at a time. And now coming to terms with the fact that it just hasn't yielded a sustainable satisfaction. It may have for a time, it may have even for, an extended season been fulfilling to some degree, but the conflict here with the Five of Wands is that it hasn't been something that someone's been able to really maintain or hold on to for long enough to sustain that satisfaction. You know, it might have been rewards and profits in spurts, perhaps, or, you know, like even if it was, let's say, a lot of wealth or riches at once, it came with a great deal of conflict attached to it. So it's like some could have been making hella money, but were conflicted in how they were making it, or who they had, you know, who they were making it with, or even the competition surrounding it to keep on making it. You know, whether this could even just be business competition or competition on the job, or, you know, like you make a grip of a salary, but the work environment is toxic as hell. So it's like you're happy in one regard that money is no problem, but to go to work every day or to do whatever you do to have that satisfaction doesn't really seem to balance out. You know, it doesn't really add up, is what I'm getting here. And that's the case for most of us at some point in our lives, at least, where whether it's even a lot of money or not, but we are pleased enough to be able to support ourselves and secure our livelihood that will more or less settle for circumstances and situations that are less than favorable, or sacrifice ourselves for that exchange of materialism, when in our highest mind we might choose differently if we didn't have to answer, or at least didn't feel like we had to answer to those needs and desires and wants in a material form. So this could even be someone, you know, literally, they wake up every morning and they just literally hate what they have to get up out of the bed to do every day. Or they did. This could be the past. This could be, you know, I don't know, because, I mean, the Nine of Cups is here, so this should be a wish fulfillment, but coming out with the Five of Wands, there's still conflict here. I'm not even 100. Let's see what's on the bottom. Strength. So this really could just be, this is a facade. That's what that is. That's what that is, the Nine of Cups. It's someone, wow, right up under the nine, and it almost damn fooled me. Because I'm like, why is that here though? And interestingly enough, it's the 9 and the 9. This is somebody that, I mean, could potentially hate their life. Some aspect of it that either keeps them up at night or makes them dread getting up in the morning. But they put on a happy face to the public, because this is like a showmanship card sometimes. Like sometimes I get that, like this is a curtain and, you know, somebody's kind of putting on for the audience or for spectators that they're actually happy, everything's fine, everything's great, I'm doing amazing, life is good, I don't want for nothing, I'm rich, bitch type, type of energy. But like I said, this is how they really feel when they're all alone or when they're in their quiet moments. This is their true experience. Whatever it is that they're putting on, it could be for competition's sake, so not to let whomever they feel they need to put on, like, yeah, it's like a test of feats of strength or something. I don't know why I always say that, because I don't even know what that is, but that I say that often, like a feats of strength or something like that. I think maybe that's a Seinfeld episode. But what the concept that I'm getting to is really just like, ego clashes where everyone kind of just wants to flex, more or less, to look powerful, to look rich, to look wealthy, to whatever. Like everybody's flexing their power here at the Five of Wands. So this could be how someone puts on to kind of keep up with the Joneses energetically, or to maintain that flex that seems to keep them ahead of the competition or head and shoulders above the rest. But the thing is, if it's not real, then, I mean, who's it really flexing on? You know what I mean? It's just like, which is why maybe somebody feels almost like a tortured soul at the Nine of Swords, because this pentacle is what is being idolized. And in this case, it feels like the pentacle is not even real. It's really just the facade of wealth. So this could be somebody in their circle of colleagues or associates that is still trying to, I said keep up with the Joneses, so they're still trying to keep up this persona of strength and power and wealth and dignity. Pride, ego. That's what it's given, because that's what they idealize at this point. Like their reputation is precious to them, so much so that they would be willing to really sacrifice themselves and stretch themselves thin to maintain it at all costs. That's what that's given. And it really seems pointless, because the Five of Wands is just like, it's kind of like useless competition. Sometimes it can be harmless, but in this case, it's given like, who are you doing this for? Who are you keeping up a face for? Who are you flexing for? Because the people that, what's that saying, like doing things that you don't even want to do to impress people that you don't even like, or impress people that don't even care, or something like that. There's some saying like that. Or buying things. It's usually buying things that you don't really need to impress people that you don't really like, and something along those lines. That's the energy here. That somebody's working themselves and stressing themselves to the bone to just look like they the man or the woman, or they have it all together, and they kind of want to maintain this, I'm feeling this, like this position of this like enviable position where people look to them like, oh man, I wish I was that guy, or I wish I had what he had, or I did what he does, or I lived the life that he lives. When in the real time, if you really did live the life that he lived, you'd be miserable, because he's miserable. It's like somebody fully, oh man, that's a lot. Oh, it's 3. I'll take it. Damn, it's like somebody fully surrendered to the rat race. But there's like no finish line. Ew. Oh, man. I just heard a slow death. Damn, what we into today? And then the Hangman card here. Oh, man. So it's definitely giving somebody that, I don't know, you know me, I'm always keeping the hope alive. I want to say that somebody still has a choice, because that's kind of where this started in the beginning, being on two opposite ends of a choice. And of course, you know, straddling the middle. But with the Knight of Pentacles being in the middle, it could even be that someone has made a choice, like they found their priorities just a little bit too late to avoid some of this suffering that they now are incurring. And I mean, the death with the Hangman, that's either a deep transformation underway, of which someone, I mean, it would probably be quite taxing and challenging. Like I said, like I was saying, like that Pluto energy, exactly, with the death card. Everybody is not up for the challenge of closure, you know, and really bringing cycles to a close that have been gaping open for, in some cases, longer than they should have been. Like I said, somebody has been doing this dance for a long time, having every invitation to step into the light or move toward it. Literally every invitation, just in terms of what they are actually experiencing in real time, to say, like, this isn't enough for me, I need something more. And instead of doing that, they continue to act like it was something, act like they were fulfilled, and maybe even begin to try almost convince themselves that what they were experiencing was sufficient enough for what they were receiving in return, or at least in comparison to whatever they would need to leave behind or detach from. For some people, that's too daunting of a change to make when you are comfortable enough, even if it's in your own misery and with no guarantee of what's ahead of you. But I don't like the picture that this is painting, because the Knight of Pentacles is again, delays and slow moving, a slow action. It's solid, but solid with what? The Death card and the Hangman? You know, it's like somebody is being faced to transform, or else. Like, this could only be a transformation for the best of a new beginning in the light, or like the transformation would pretty much be worse than this Nine of Swords energy here, where someone wouldn't be able to fake the funk no more. They wouldn't be able to act like anything, because it would just be far too evident, you know, the distress that they might be under. First of all, to even try to keep up the facade, but really to just manage the challenge of transformation that they're facing, simply on account of the fact that they just delayed it too long. And I would like to believe that there's still time to make that choice and there's still opportunity. However, I feel like, again, it poses a greater challenge than it may have before, because there's been so much accumulation of contempt at this point that has to be cleared up on the way to whatever this new experience or new beginning may be. And that's the part, it's like, I mean, everybody goes through some level. I don't know, is it everybody? Maybe not everybody, but maybe so. I don't know, but I know particularly anybody that was moving toward the light or seeking a spiritually fulfilling experience also experienced some form of death, some form of transformation and rebirth, or maybe still in that process of transforming, whatever the case may be. It's not, there's much more to celebrate of it on the other side in hindsight and in reflection than when you're actually going through that process. It's not always the most pleasant. And I feel like, honestly, it's probably harder on the human being because of all the external resistances that you have to contend with, many of which are unnecessary and unlawful. If it was just, if you were just left up to the natural order and process of change and evolution, it probably wouldn't be so taxing. But there's all that just naturally, or just, I can't say naturally in the way that I'm speaking of it, but just conventionally, I suppose, that we've been used to it, particularly in the past season. And that's honestly what's culminating now, is all the sowing and harvest and the sowing and seeking and stabilizing that was done over however long your cycle may have been or season may have been. Could have been decades, could have been years, could have been lifetimes, as far as I know. But whatever it is and however you completed it, when we saw that world card, it wasn't easy. So imagine wrapping all of that energy into now a season in which it's the degree of difficulty has been raised. The bar has been raised, and maybe not so much because it's natural again to be so, but in this case, it's been raised due to the transference of energy connected to the choices made in the past season. So again, it's like bringing all of that energy and transferring it to the present moment, where you still have the same choice, the same invitation that had always existed. But now it's like you're kind of sludging through mud or walking through sand, you know what I mean? Like you have more baggage to carry because you picked up a lot more than what you already had to deal with naturally, right? And then of course the other stuff too. But like you picked up more to deal with, and then you created more debt and more casualties along the way that have to be cleared again before there can be this new pathway forged, or at least you're clearing it as you're on that pathway. So all that to say is like you almost feel like you're not really going anywhere or not moving as fast, especially if anyone's particularly used to moving quickly, as many were that were kind of doing things and on their own frequency in some way, shape, or form that was, not so much in alignment with the divine, you may have had liberty to kind of shake and move and jump the line and curb, the weight, and I don't know, all types of tricks and shortcuts that could have been exploited at a time don't really work now. It's like you only have the natural route to take, plus whatever it is that you brought along with you, which would have been the real significance here at the Eight of Cups when that opportunity was available, to leave as much of whatever you wouldn't want to be weighed down with behind you, because it's inevitable that whatever you dragged to the threshold of this new beginning, you're going to have to be accountable for one way or another. So, yeah. So all that to say, it's like somebody still is responsible for their own transformation, like whatever role they get to play within that, really in the matter of surrender and submission. And they're responsible for whatever it is that gets to be cleaned up from the past season. And that combination of things, could feel so dense. That's what the death energy is, because I mean, honestly speaking, some people are just not going to make it. They're not going to be able to withstand that pressure of change, because it's going to feel too much of a demand on their complacency and on their ego and their pride and their security, in a time where the climate of society now that we're in is volatile enough. If it induces enough insecurity as it is, to then have to really balance your own personal, again, inner conflicts with what's going on around you. It's like some people are going to be up for the challenge and they're going to push through, and God bless them all the way, really and truly. And some people are just either going to give up or resolve that change is too hard, and they'll take their chances with what they know, or they will ultimately resort to, God, I don't even know, to be honest. That's where there could be either some type of self-sabotaging break with reality, particularly with spirit and the physical being, that is hard to withstand in a healthy way, which could lead to either depression, psychotic breaks, mental disturbances, all types of stuff in that regard, which I definitely don't pray or wish on to anyone. And or it could have people just doing strange things to try to find some sense of balance again in a way that they knew it before, but kind of finding themselves on a hamster wheel, because you can't really get to what you knew before, because that almost doesn't even exist. You know what I mean? So you almost feel like you're in a Groundhog Day situation, or chasing your tail, trying to get back to it. But before you realize that there is no way back to it. And then that alone could almost drive you, oh man, I don't know. The only way is in. The only way out, the only way up is in at this point, to get to that state of enlightenment and surrender where you allow yourself to experience the change and the transformations that are necessary on the inside out to be most sustainable and to be that ground of security that supersedes the material. And that's the thing, it's like anybody can really get to that if they have the determination, as the Knight of Pentacles can, to do so. And the Hangman has the willingness to do so. It's just that, just as here, like nobody is exempt from really the same situation, the same offering and invitation. Maybe the generations coming now may have a different experience because of the work that we have done and the work that we're doing to change things for them, you know, to curb some of the degrees of difficulty for them prayerfully. But it's all been pretty much the same deal, more or less. It's just the, you know, the difference in time, you know, you kind of taking it as it was offered to you voluntarily, submissively, as opposed to having to surrender to it because you have no other choice. That has a different resonance, a different frequency that is not as easy to navigate as the former, you know. So either way, what I'm trying to say is that everybody still was faced with the same, you know, question and consideration. And it hasn't changed, and it for those that were more or less accountable for it, you know, it's just a matter of releasing those material dependencies that more or less compelled folks to decline the invitation in the first place. That is still the degree of difficulty, you know, because as I've said, it's like you may not have those things to depend on now in the physical form, first and foremost, but even in the ways that you knew how to get it and gain it, you won't be able to access it that way. So the true test of strength here is going to be on those, it will come down to those that are able to say, all right, I surrender, I submit. If I'm dead broke, you know, if I gotta whatever, you know, like whatever, however it is that dues get paid, or even in this case, retribution is paid, it would have to be through a willingness to fulfill that demand to actually have this spiritual fulfillment activated or reacclimated in a more pure form, in a way that, you know, ultimately doesn't have to be faked, you know, and isn't phony, because you've more or less covered all bases to have it be real. And I just do believe that that's possible, even in the most dire circumstances as they may seem or feel. But if there was ever a time when you would need to really want it, you know, like people are going to need to turn up that same determination they had to get rich and get famous and be popular and be powerful, as they are to be pure. And again, there is no guarantee and there is no immediate reward that you can put your finger on. So that's the challenge. And those that get it done, I mean, God bless them for sure, because, yeah, look at that, 6 of Wands. Exactly. There's victory there. you know, real recognition, like real would recognize real at that point for you to come through the worst of times, still, you know, above the fray, as I like to say, above that 5 of Wands. This is the real win here. Not flexing for the gram or for the tube or whatever the hell else people flex for anymore, but really just living in your own lane and being a true inspiration on account of that. That's the real flex. And some people might have, you know, a bit of an uphill battle to get to that moment, but it's certainly still worth trudging for and striving for, because there's still opportunity for success there. But it has to be pure though. That's the thing, like it can't be anything diabolical, manipulative, exploitative, deceptive, corrupted, none of that. It can't be any of that anymore, or you'll never see this. You'll either be stuck on the hamster wheel of make pretend, or you'll eventually crash out. High Priestess. Wow, I'm getting 2 for 2. Here's that secret energy here. You know, like, yeah, what someone wants to keep concealed, that they don't really have it, or that they're not doing well. They might be literally unwell, physically, in health, or at least in spirit. And they might actually be financially struggling. And they don't want anybody to know. The Queen of Swords is here, which is definitely like the whistleblower. The truth teller in this case is like, the truth will be exposed if you are, again, like I said, that you can't have it both ways. So it doesn't mean that you got to stand on a podium or even on your own platform necessarily, unless that's what you feel called to do. You feel, you know, you're being driven to do. But it does, and speak whatever truth that is, but it does mean that you have to live in it. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be real with where you truly are in this present moment in order to move beyond it. So it's like you, again, it's very, there's an allowance here with the Queen of Swords. It's like, it's not really a demand. It's an invitation, and you can either take it or leave it. But there could be a suffering attached to refusing that invitation to truth, more than, you know, what it already may be, you know, because I mean, everybody hits a rough patch at some point in their life, whether it be physically, energetically, mentally, spiritually, materially, financially, emotionally. And it's just like, you don't have to put on a show and be an exhibitionist for the world to see, but I mean, hell, you at least got to be real with yourself in this case. And it feels like with the High Priestess up under that 9 of Cups energy, as I was speaking of it, it literally could be someone that's not even keeping it real with themselves, for real. Like, they're finding ways to justify their suffering, like to make it make sense, to conceal it as much as they possibly can. And the only way that they can almost kind of psych themselves into projecting it to be what it's not is to delude themselves, to almost believe that it's something that it's not. That's living in your own personal hell right there. That you sentenced yourself to, like, oh, that's way too many. I'm not taking all that. Here we go with 2 again. Hierophant. Yeah, all, for the conventions and traditions of society, or for tradition's sake. Or even, this could even be almost submitting yourself in worship in a certain type of way to the powers that were, as is represented with the Hierophant. But what it really is traditional concepts, and not concepts like damn, what's the word that I really want? Like kind of killing yourself, or slaving yourself for in the structure and order of a society that is more or less set up to keep you in that space. It's like I was saying earlier, it's like for those that have had all of this energy and drive to acquire things and become, obtain things the way that they did, to transfer that energy into something real, more pure, more satisfying, holistically, would be ideal. But it's not necessarily it doesn't necessarily have the most immediate gratifications. But here it's like the contribution and the commitment to old world mentalities and the structures thereof present themselves to have a reward and a return. But look who's gatekeeping this independence. Like, look what's between the 5 of Pentacles and the 9. So it's like you submitting yourself to something anyway. You're literally making of yourself a sacrifice to a power that you have given permission to wield over you, whether this be a job, a mindset, a community, an association, a country, a state, an enterprise, some type of leadership, or like a deference of some sort. Whatever it is like you submitting yourself to something anyway. Why not? And something that does not have your best interest at heart. It only cares about what is profitable and beneficial for it. So as long as you can be useful in that exchange, so be it. But the moment that you're not, you're discarded, or you'll find yourself on the outside of it. So if you will be willing to take the chance for what is now discovered to be a fleeting return, of reward or recognition or sustainability, it's not solid, it's not dependable and reliable, then why not take the chance on something that one thing is guaranteed is reliable, is stable, is dependable, is unconditional, more or less, you know what I mean? Like it's never changing, it's consistent, and whatever it promises or projects is the truth. You know what I mean? Like, meaning the divine, God, spirit, pursuing the wholeness of your soul, pursuing your own wish fulfillment in a pure sense, your purpose, your path, your destiny, all of that good stuff. All of that is as intangible as it may be, is most reliable and dependable. So if you're going to bet on anything, it would be a wiser bet on that than on something that is pretty much betting against you. Like, anticipating your downfall so that it could then again come up, you know what I mean, or advance or win on account of that. Literally, with the Five of Pentacles to the Hierophant, like, practically how society is really made up, built on the backs of the have-nots to continue to strive to be this ideal concept of success, this standard of success that's been dangled before it like a carrot, and working yourself to the bone to obtain it and fulfill it, sometimes at all costs, but certainly at your own casualty in one way, shape, or another. That's how the hamster wheel keeps a turning. So the moment you decide to stop and get off and transfer your energy, your power, your focus and attention otherwise, it's pretty much out of business, out of service, But don't tell you that, though. As far as you're concerned, this is where the money resides. Well, you as in those that subscribe to those ideals. So to actually come out of that spell and to forge your own path of independence uniquely, however that gets to look between you and your supreme, is truly the power move. But again, not everybody is up for that challenge. Not everybody is here for it. So, ooh, wow. Ooh. This is the fear and the restriction. That is the illusion caped over those that, are desperate to be caped, or willing to be at least, or just don't know no better, because there's that too. But in this day and age, especially, as I said, Aquarius energy, Pluto in Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius, like, you really don't have, not many people, even the sheepest of the sheeple, don't really have the defense of ignorance anymore, or they soon won't, because there'll be way too much evidence and too much truth that is, blatantly obvious now, of what you thought you always knew, what you've actually been in submission or surrender to, or even, dare I say, a slave to, what you have ultimately agreed with or made covenant with, and then of course what you didn't, what wool was pulled over your eyes unjustly. But all aspects, like everything that you could possibly consider, will be available to know, because that's what Aquarius is. I know. So you won't have the luxury to say, I didn't know, or I don't know, because it'll be information available for all eyes to behold. And then it'll just be up to you, like what you do with it. And again, for some, the knowing is overwhelming as is, because for some, ignorance is bliss. So having all of the knowledge and the confirmation and evidence in the world could be a stressor for some. I hope not for many. I'm praying that it's more or less, a graceful transition, even for those that are kind of right in the middle, to see their way to the light in a way that is not, that's even, a pleasant surprise to the divine, you know what I mean? Like this spirit of awakening that is underway, that it wouldn't be a scary time. It wouldn't invoke fear. It wouldn't make people feel more restricted or, to coil into their vices and cling to their defenses or their dependencies. But it would be, a liberating experience that, of course, for all, it'll be something to readjust to and become acquainted with from the inside out and outside in, but that this energy is not going to clinch the wind that it thinks it is or that it thought it was, that people are actually going to be enough people for it to make an impact and an impression, collectively are going to be quite pleased with their independence, that they thrive in it. And once you feel yourself in that energy and see yourself thriving, it really breaks the illusions of the dependencies that you clung to before. And that's the fear here, which is why it matters to keep you as dependent as possible and even as codependent as possible. To almost be afraid of yourself. All right. One more. Please, just one. You know what, Spirit? Oh, man. So we got, because my knees can't move no more. All right, so we got the Three of Cups. I'm going to have to layer them up. The Three of Cups and the Knight of Cups. Let's see. So first of all, there's this cause for celebration. And we love to see that, especially on account of all that I just said about being released and liberated and, finding pleasure in your independence. There's that. Now, what the Knight of Cups is given to, I'm not 100% sure. I actually might, strangely enough, draw another card just to see, because it feels a little open-ended to me. And hope I don't get two more, right? Come on, Spirit. One more, please. Okay, but you know what? It's not terrible, because it could be the Knight of Cups pouring into himself, like refueling his energy from this depressive state, this feeling of depletion. Again, this could be the disparity between those that immediately recognize or receive this new order with celebration and with gratitude and with grace even. They respond to it that way and begin to integrate with the highest frequency of that energy. And then the Knight of Cups, you know, is like this ambition of love. And in this case, given all that I've said about the adverse energy here in this reading, the polarity of the more positive vibe, it could be someone that ultimately is able to kind of pick themselves back up. That's and in the case of what I'm saying about what I'm praying, you know, my proclamation for the best case scenario, that would be the best case for someone to face the challenge of change. Even, I mean, it don't really get no lower, honestly, than the Five of Cups, except for when you're talking about like the Ten of Swords or something like that. But the Five of Cups is it can be pretty dense to experience in your own right. And if someone still somehow is able to gather the strength that they need emotionally to nurture themselves, you know, back to a stable space, maybe even a hopeful one, then that's what we want. That's ultimately what we desire to have collectively to cure the consciousness grid overall, so that ultimately nobody that truly wants to evolve is left behind. Now, anybody that's not interested, you know, you on your own. God bless and Godspeed. But for those that really truly desire to change and transform, and, you know, might be a bit depleted for the energy and the optimism to do so, you know, here's hoping that they find the strength, you know, for sure. Yeah, that they find the strength and the courage and the ambition and the drive. What's he going toward? To invest in themselves. And here we go with the Pentacles. We went from the Ace to the Knight, and this comes back down to the foundation of your interest, your investments, your attention, like really simplifying things back down to start, back down to one, and being driven to multiply yourself at this level. You know, like this is a fierce drive. And although this might kind of be like a beginner stage, it still has a great deal of value and promise, especially when objectified by the Knight of Wands, who's really willing and fearless enough to accomplish anything. You know, this is just reaffirming your value again at a foundational level, so that you can build a foundation that is fortified now, like almost revaluing your, what's it called, like maybe reestablishing your core values, something like that. Like, what is it that matters to me, really and truly? What's important? What's productive? What makes sense? What should I give my time and attention to? Or even considering what you have in the past and where things may need to shift or change or whatever. Like, that's that's the ground zero, and it's not a bad one to have, you know, from the vantage point now where you feel, where some may feel like they are either suffering a great loss or facing a great loss that they feel they're going to suffer. You know, it may not feel very comforting to know that this is the hope of the future, or that there is a hope for the future at all. But, you know, certainly isn't my job to drive that point home. But I do certainly pray that those that have the eyes and the eyes to see it and the will to believe for it do, you know, let alone to actually pursue it and or submit to it. I'm all for it. All for it. Best of luck and wishes to you. It's for the best of us all. Nobody needs to suffer more than what they already have, you know, because even those that have felt like they got ahead of the game, like I said, you know, like they skipped the line or accelerated their, you know, their timeline or whatever, like got their rewards early some type of way. You never could have really slept all that soundly in that energy, you know, like always feeling like you owe a debt in spirit and sometimes in truth. Nobody wants to live like, humanly, we're not designed to sustain that way productively. Even though we've been conditioned to believe that that's our natural makeup, I just don't believe that it truly is, or it certainly doesn't have to be. So even those that, you know, that got fast action and have lived to regret it or just wish they had done things a little bit differently, you know, you still wouldn't have, with all the money in the world, had the most peace, you know. And sometimes it came with a great sacrifice of things, again, that were far more valuable, but just not so tangible, not so immediately gratifying. So it's like, now to get a do-over, to have all the things, you know, not to leave anything on the table, the money, the love, the energy, the power, the creativity, you know, the truth. Let's not forget about that. That's the ideal life. You know, that's the one worth living holistically. So here's praying that all those that can have that experience absolutely do at some point in time, in some way, shape, or form. All right, so I'll leave it there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.